In this clip, we'll take a look at a word problem involving credit cards to determine the steps to figuring out how much interest a balance has grown by over time. So I'll work on a problem in this column, and then a little later I'll get you to do a practice problem over here and I'll present the solution. Now for credit card bills, you can think of the amount of interest almost like a little penalty for not paying your credit card bill on time. So if you get a credit card bill in the mail, and you don't pay that bill within a certain amount of time, that money will start to grow, and it can grow very quickly if you're not very careful. So let's read a problem together, and we'll start to work on the steps to figure out how much interest a balance has grown by. And our problem is as follows. A credit card company charges an interest rate of 24% per year. How much interest would be charged on a balance of $1,200 after 40 days? Let's take a look at this problem a bit closer and pick out the important numbers here. We are given an interest rate of 24%, and that's the speed that your money will grow if left untouched on your bill. We're also given a balance of $1,200. That's how much you've actually spent using your credit card. And we're also given a time frame here, 40 days. So what this question is asking us, if we started out with $1,200 and left it for 40 days, if it's growing at 24%, how much would we end up with? In other words, what is the amount of interest? To solve this, we're going to need to remember our simple interest formula, which looks like this. I, which is interest, is equal to P, which is principal, times R, which is the interest rate, and time, T. And since we're being asked to solve for interest, which is I, we need to find values for P, R, and T. So I'm going to write down what the principal, the rate, and the time is over here on the right. P is the amount that we've actually spent on the credit card, which is the principal. In this case, it's $1,200. R is the rate. In other words, it's the speed that our money will grow by. And it's usually expressed as a percent. So in this question, it's 24%. And finally, our time is 40 days. Now, it'd be nice if we could just take these three values and plug them into our equation here and then solve. But it's not that simple. We have to do a bit of converting first. Our rate is expressed as a percent, but that doesn't work for math so well. We need to convert this to a decimal first. Then, our time for simple interest always has to be expressed in terms of years, but in this question it's expressed in days. So we'll have a step where we convert that into years. Okay, so let's begin step one. We're going to convert 24% into decimal. To convert 24% to decimal, I'm just going to write down the number without the percent sign and replace the percent sign with a decimal point. Then I need to slide it 2 places to the left. And I get 0.24. If this scale is a bit strange for you, there's an earlier mini clip on converting percent to decimal that I encourage you to try yourself. Now that I've converted my rate to decimal, I can move on to the next step where I convert time into years. Let's try that now. In order to convert days to years, I need to divide my given number by the number of days there are in a year. Now quick, how many days are there in a year? If you said 365, give yourself a pat on the back. So I'm going to divide 40 days by 365, and that will give me a decimal in years. So I'm going to bring in the calculator for this. 40 divided by 365 gives me a very long number, but I'm just going to convert this to 2 decimal points. So this is going to be 0.11. So 40 days is 0.11 of a year. And that's all the converting I need to do. I've converted my rate into decimal and my time into years. Now I can go ahead and plug everything I need into that simple interest equation and get my answer. In step 3, it's just a matter of substituting in my values for P and my new R and my new T and solving for I. I'm going to get I equals, my principal is 1200. My R from step 2 is now 0.24. And my T from step 3 is now 0.11. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my calculator for this. Since it's a string of multiplication, I can do it all in one shot. So I have 1200 times 0.24 times 0.11, and I get an interest of 3168. 3168. And the amount of interest is in dollars. Let's not forget that. And that's our final answer. So our credit card bill has actually grown by an amount of $31.68. So if left for 40 days, not only would this person have to pay the $1,200 on the balance, but they'd pay an additional penalty of $31.68. And finally, it's always good practice to add a concluding statement for any word problem. So my concluding statement just looks like this. Therefore, the interest is $31.68. And now it's your turn. I'm going to present a practice problem in this column, and I'll give you some time to work on it yourself, and then I'll post the solution down below. So let's read through your problem together, and it is as follows. The ABC credit card charges an interest rate of 18% per year. How much interest would be charged on a balance of $600 after 90 days? Okay, so go ahead and try that problem on your own now. I arrive at a final answer of $27 interest, and I start by listing my givens. Then I convert my rate into decimal, then convert my time into years, and finally plug my P, R, and T into my simple interest rate formula. So the amount of interest is $27.